Hi everyone, it's Nat here. Hope you're all doing well. So I'm very excited to be on to begin my next project for Aunty Vera Scrap and Craft using these beautiful graphic 45 papers. So this is from the Love Note collection. So there'll be a link to Aunty Vera's shop down below as well as her blog. Now I do recommend bookmarking the blog. Simple reason is we do tend to do videos on most of the things that we make, the creative team, but sometimes we don't always do a process video, or you might watch the video, go to start crafting and forget a certain step. Now we do try to list the steps on our blog, so it's well worth having a look at that every now and again if you'd like to make any of the things that you see the creative team make. So I'll put the links for that down below. Now there's a lovely couple of ladies that are on the February team with. So they have the same papers and core products that I do, which are all on sale for the month of February. But we each got to pick 6 extra products to go with the papers, which was awesome. And we did get different items. So it's well worth checking out the other ladies in their projects to see what items they got, because all of our chosen items are on sale for this month as well. So that's awesome. So I will quickly show you through the papers I'm going to use. I have decided that I'd love to make a little journal to gift to my 2 friends that are getting married later this year, and I think these papers are absolutely perfect. So this is the Poetic Postage paper. And I love this because it's got a lot of pieces you can cut apart. So there's borders, there's stamps. So really nice that is, and that's the other side. So of course, being graphic 45, they're all pretty well coordinating papers, so you can use them all together in different ways. This is Standing Ovation. Lots of piano keys. And that side. I love how it's got like black and red. I think that'll be really nice for the people that I'm making this for. That's Floral Symphony. And the music theme that goes through it as well. It's very interesting. And I like that it's sort of got these vintage backgrounds and that as well. This is Romantic Rhapsody. And Melodic Missives. So these are the papers that I've chosen to do my journal cover and my pages with. I love this because it's got little banners all over it saying, "How do I love thee, angel of mine, let me call you sweetheart." So it's really sweet. That's the other side with these tiny little roses. And this is Musical Masterpiece. It has a lot of musical instruments. And again, it's got the sort of vintage background as well. So I think that lends itself really nicely to some tea-dyed papers. And that's the other side. So the next part of the process was to find a cover for my journal. So I chose this old book cover. Because it's black, it goes really nicely with the papers. So what I've done is I have removed the pages. I used a craft knife and just cut down the sides in between the pages and the cover and took all the pages out. And then I measured the spine area on the inside. I measured the length and the width, and then cut some chipboard or cardboard to fit in there, just leaving a few millimeters either side so the cover's still closed. And made it just a little short there, about the same length or a bit less than the backing papers here. So, and then I stuck that in with my Helmer's glue. I find that's quite strong and it dries quite quickly, so I like to use that for my spines. And while I was at it, I cut another piece of the chipboard stuff. Now this is second hand, that's why it looks a bit raggedy. So this will be the piece that we sew our signatures into, and then it will be stuck onto that piece. Now these are the signatures I've created. Now signatures are groups of pages. So when you're reading a book, if you have a look up the top of the book, you'll sort of see that the pages are grouped. and usually they're sewn in, and you can see the stitches down the middle of the signature. So if you want to take some pages out neatly, you'd cut the stitches and be able to pull the pages out quite neatly. So I measured the width of my cover, and I measured the height of my cover, and then I may cut my papers just a little smaller so that when my signatures fit in there, you want them to be about the same size as these backing pages really. Just straighten up my signature a bit. But you'll see when I've got it in there, there's a little bit left up the top and a little bit left down the bottom. And there should be a bit left so that when you close it, they don't stick out the edges. If they are uneven or sticking out a bit, you can always cut them down before you sew them in. It would be the easiest, but you can cut them down with some scissors or something afterwards if you need to. It's just once you start embellishing it gets a bit difficult. So as you can see, I have cut my pages. It worked out to be about 10 inches across and about 8.5 down to fit nicely. So there's one of our beautiful papers. And then I used some vintage music paper. Now it gets a little bit fragile, and if I want to stick embellishments on it, it makes it a bit heavy. So what I did was lined this with some of my pianola paper. I just thought, since it's love note paper and it's got a music theme, that it was a good time to pull out the pianola paper that I have been hoarding forever. So that's lovely. So I've stuck that on, and it's just made it nice and thick. And then I've got some tea-dyed paper. Now my tea-dyed paper is copy paper. It isn't quite long enough, but it doesn't matter. It's nice to have a bit of variation, and I don't think that looks bad at all. And then we've got another beautiful piece from the Love Notes collection. It's just all going together so nicely. The vintage colours of the tea stain paper and the old music paper go really nicely with these papers. And then another tea-dyed paper. So they're very small signatures, but I want a lot of room for the recipients to be able to stick in photos, cards, whatever they like. You know, mementos of their wedding. So there's another beautiful page. Some more of my music paper with the pianola paper backing it. Tea-dyed, and that beautiful paper with the instruments. So that's the second signature. So they'll fit quite nicely in there, and as you can see, there's still heaps of room for them to fit heaps in, and it won't be too bulky. Now, what else I decided to do was use this. This is the beginning of the pianola roll. A lot of the pianola rolls have the most gorgeous, gorgeous illustrations and writing on the start of them. And I have been hoarding them because it's been too hard for me to cut these up. But I thought, what better situation than a wedding to use one of these in a journal for someone. So I hunted around till I found a black one, because they do have different coloured ones. And I come across this one, loved it. It did have decorative edging there, and I had to cut that off just to make it fit in my journal. But I've kept that because I might be able to use it to embellish the journal in other areas. So, I'm not sure how sturdy. It seems pretty strong, the pianola paper, but it does have a tendency to curl because it is rolled up. So I used some vintage writing paper that I've got. This stuff's pretty brittle, but I bought a whole heap of it from the second-hand shop, and it's great for backing things. So I have used that to back the pianola roll, just to make it more sturdy. And I love the way it looks. And my initial thought was it could be sewn into the middle of the journal and opened up and written on, or I could put some pockets in and it could be written on. My other idea is that I could sew it as an envelope and sew the sides together, and it could be opened up and used like an envelope. So I'm still debating about that, because I want to put it in the middle there, because I just think it looks beautiful, especially going with all the music things in the book and the papers. If I put it that way, it'll be really cool, and the little tab sticks out, which I really like. So that's what I was going to do. But if I use it as an envelope, I'm not sure how easy it'll be to get things in and out once I've got all these embellishments in there. And I don't want to cut this down any further, so I've got a bit of a dilemma there. So now I'm debating whether I put it in that way and I can use it as an envelope. I'll just cut the tab off, which I might end up doing that, I think. So then I also cut some end papers. Try and find the right ones. I think it was these two, yes, to stick in on the front and back cover insides, because I think they'll go really nicely like that. So now I'm going to get to preparing the cover before I put the signatures in. I want to put the backing cover papers in, the front and the back insides there. So I think I'll use my black soot distress ink just to go around the edges, because I don't know if you'll be able to see, it's quite white on the edges and we don't really want to see that. So give that a quick ink. Alright, so they're all inked up, ready to be stuck in now. So I'm just going to grab some greaseproof paper so I don't get glue on my mat. Make sure that we're going to put it the right way up. Just using my Hellmann's glue again. Alright, so that's good. Now the next step is we've got to get this ready to sew our signatures in. So the idea is to glue some fabric, glue this into the cardboard into the middle of the fabric, and then once we've got the signatures in, we stick it down like that. So okay, I gave up on using my black fabric because glue's showing through too much, which I could cover with something else, but I thought I might go, and I found a whole lot of scrap calico pieces. So what I might do though is just ink it up a little bit so it's not quite as bright. That's the right word for it. So I've got my walnut stain ink here. So now we want to stick this to my very glue covered bit of cardboard. Alright, now try and centre it as much as we can. Now I'm not going to press too hard because that'll make the glue come through a lot more. It has a little bit down the bottom, but that's not too bad. Definitely better than the black stuff. So that'll be the piece that sits in there that we sew our signatures to. So the next thing we've got to do is measure on the back of this where we want our signatures to go. So I'll just grab a ruler and a pencil, and it's not very straight, so we'll see. See how we go with this. I think I'll use the centimetres for this bit. It's about 2 centimetres by, oh yeah, about 2 centimetres. So halfway is 1 centimetre. We've got Well, technically we've got 2 signatures, but then we've got the envelope, so we'll count that as a signature. So with 3 signatures, it's quite easy. The middle one goes in the middle. So we want to make a mark and a line at 1 centimetre, because that's the middle. And here again, 1 centimetre. And then I'll do a line. And then what you want to do is find the middle of that line. Oh yeah, there is a line there. I can't see it because of the light. So this piece is about 21 centimetres. So half of that is 10.5. So at 10.5 we'll put a nice dot. So that's where one of our stitches will go. We're going to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch because it's not a very big journal. It doesn't have a lot of pages. I don't think it will be really heavy, or else I'd do a 5-hole pamphlet stitch. So I'll do 3 holes. So, and then I usually go about 2.5 centimetres from either end. So we'll put one at 2.5 there, and then one at 2.5 there. So that's where our middle signature will get sewn in. And then we've got to figure out where we want our other ones. Now, I like to do a T up there, telling me that that's going to be the top. So let's have a look. What have we got? So it was 1 centimetre. Now we've got to make sure we've got enough room for everything to open. I reckon we'll just go half again. So it's 1 centimetre either side of the middle. So if we go 1/2 centimetre and do lines, and 1/2 centimetre on both sides. 1/2 centimetre there, 1/2 centimetre over here. You probably can't see too well, but hopefully you get the gist of what I'm doing. And draw a line there. And a line over this side. So they're the lines that will dictate where our signatures are going to go. So then again, we measure the halfway mark. So that's 10.5 on that one, and 10.5 on this one. Just get my ruler back up there. And they should all pretty well line up, so about like that. And then we go 2.5 to there, and then it's 2.5 to there. So 2.5 on that one, and 2.5 on that one. You just want to see that your dots are pretty well lined up, so I'll show you there. So in the middle there we've got the 3 dots for the 3 signatures for the middle stitch. And then down the bottom we've got the 3, about 2.5 centimetres in. And then up the top about 2.5 centimetres down we've got 3 there. So that's where we'll be putting the holes for our stitches. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is make our holes in the chipboard for our signatures. And I use my awl. You could use a like thick pin or something too, but these things are great to use. Although mine has a little hook on the end, which is annoying. I have to try and file it off. So the way I do this is I get a tissue box and I ruin my tissue box. I put it up near the end where it's got some stability, and I just poke holes through. It will squash the tissue box, so there, like that. And you want to do that with all 3 holes. The next thing I want to do is create a template. So I've just cut a bit of my scrap paper about the same length as the bit that we want to sew our spine into. So what we want to do is place this on top, make sure it's semi-straight. And then what I do is use my pencil. I'll just get my pencil that I like using for this. I like using one of these, I don't know if you can see that, one of these sort of pencils, because it goes through the holes a lot easier than a normal pencil. And I go through the middle hole and I try and draw a dot. And then I go all the way down the middle line through all the dots. You won't see me do the last one, but that's all right. I'll show you what I mean. Now hopefully my pencil has gone through the fabric and created 3 dots on the piece of paper. Yep, there's 1, 2, 3. So you choose one of these lines because they're all sort of similar spacing, and just make sure you go down the one line to get your line of dots in the same position. Now what I do is grab a ruler, put it along those dots and just fold it. So that they're in the middle of the fold like that. And that's our template for doing the holes through our signatures. So now I did do a bit of a big whoopsie too. I want to sew this in, and I've decided I want to sew it standing up like an envelope. What you do is you sew it in before you stick it together. But I wanted to sew it together, and it'd be hard to sew possibly, although I would have managed probably sewing it once it was like in there. So I have to try and punch my holes and sew it through while it's done up, which I think I'm going to be able to do. But I might do it off camera. Okay, so punching the holes wasn't as hard as I thought. I did just line the envelope base up with the template, and I just used a pencil to make little marks on the base of the envelope where the dots are on the template. And then I stuck my hand in the envelope to add some support while I punched holes with my awl through each of those spots where I put the dots. So the holes are ready. Now we've just got to try and sew it in. This will be fun too. So now we did put T for top on here, so we know that it goes up that way. We want our envelope that way, and we want it in the middle. So it is going to go like that in the middle. So we'll start from the back. I've got some black embroidery thread in a nice big thick needle. So I'm going to go through the middle hole there and leave myself a nice tail. And then make sure that we've got the top up the top. Then we want to go through the middle hole, through the bottom of our envelope. So it's hard to see because of all the black that's there. So, and I don't want to punch another hole. I think it's about there. Yep, there it is. So I'll bring that up through there. Now we're going to go back down through the hole up the top of the envelope. This is where it's easier to do it when it hasn't been sewn together, but that's why I'm putting this in first rather than the first signature. I know my, yep, there we go. I won't tighten the threads yet, and that will give me the ability to muck around with it because it's a little difficult. So then we go through the top hole of our base piece here. Now you want to cut your thread so it's about 2 times the length of this and your pages, at least 2.5, so you've got more movement space. And then you run it all the way down to the bottom middle hole. Like that. And then through the hole here. That was easy, but we're up to the hard part next. Oh, the hard part's getting the needle actually. Now we've got to come back down through that middle hole, which is going to be difficult. But hey, I've got this far, I can do it. I can see it actually quite easily. And so yeah, you're better off doing this before you close your envelope. But you learn the hard way. I had it then and I moved it. And you want to make sure you don't catch it on the thread that's already there. Yay, we did it. Now we've got to put it back through here. Now what we want to do is make sure that we've got one bit over this side of this thread and the other tail needs to come out on the other side, so that when you tie a knot, this will stop the knot from being pulled through the hole. So this is when you get to tighten it up. Now I've got to be real careful with this envelope that we don't rip it. So I'll do this quite gently. To figure out which one I need to pull to get it tight. There, that's tightening up a bit. Oh, it's looking pretty good, so I might just leave it like that so I don't rip anything. Then I'll tie a nice double knot, and then you get to cut the excess threads. Put them away for another project. And that's the first bit tied in. Oh, that was stressful. So much easier with the other signatures. It was just because silly me sewed the envelope up first. So that's got an envelope in. Usually I'd do the first signature, the second signature, then the third, but because I wanted this in the middle and I knew it was going to be difficult to get in, I decided to do that first. So now we've got to put one signature this side and the other signature that side. But at least our envelope's in, and that's what it looks like on the inside. You just see the threads down there. So that's a really cool, nice big spot to put a whole lot of wedding photos, I reckon. So I think they'll love that. Really nice touch. So just to make life hard for myself, I've now decided that before I sew my other two signatures in, I want to go around the edges of the beautiful papers with my Inca Gold Lava Red. So I have that here, and I've got a cotton tip, and I'm going to apply it with the cotton tip. So just get a little tiny bit on, and I'm just taking it along like that, and it's just going to add that really nice metallic glisten. I'll just hold it up. I don't know if you'll see it very well. Oh yeah, you can see it a bit. So I'll do a little bit more, and then I will go off camera and do all of the papers, because you definitely don't want to watch me do all of this. I have finished putting the Inca Gold around the edges of my pages. You might be able to see the shiny stuff around the edges. I love it, and I love it for the theme Heart of Mine, because, you know, it is that blood red colour, and I just think it's beautiful. It goes with the roses nicely as well. So I just did it on one side of each piece of the graphic 45 paper. So I did it on this side here. I just didn't do it on the back side, but little bits do get over onto the other side, but it doesn't matter. It looked really nice. There's little bits up there that you can see possibly. All right, so we've got to now sew these signatures in. So you're probably wondering why I've got a book here, but I like to use a book to cradle my signatures in while I punch the holes. So first we want to make sure that our pages are up the right way and all in order. So that's pretty good. Now, the next thing we want to do is grab our template, and where it says T, you want up the top, and you shove that down in the middle and center it. Make sure it's pretty even at both ends. It's a little short, so I'm sort of making sure it's centered. Now, I like to grab a ruler sometimes and just press it down. That just pushes all the signatures nicely together in their center there. And then I grab my clips and I clip one up the top, and I make sure I clip the template in as well and all the pages together. One up the top over that side, and then I do one down the bottom over the opposite side, and that just holds it all together while I punch the holes and sew it in like that. And I'll get my awl. So you want to go where the dots are in the template and just punch a hole. Just go gently and down the bottom hole and the top dot. I'll take that out. And then you want to remove the template. It's a bad habit. A lot of us have done it, I'm sure, but sewing the template in and then you've got to like rip it out or untie your stitches and get it out. So we'll take that out but still keep our pages together. So now they're ready to be sewn in. So I'll just move this out the way for the moment. Put it down on the ground. So this will be our first signature. Actually, I reckon I'm very particular about the way I like things. I'm going to make this one our last signature. So that will go over this side of the envelope. So make sure we've got everything the way we want it. Yes, and we want that up there. And that says T for top up there. Now I'll grab my needle and thread again. So we want to go through the middle over this side. It's best if you hold the pages quite together when you're punching the holes, and again when you're putting the needle through, it helps you guide it through the hole. I just like to brush them down, and then when I stick this in, the glue holds it all down and helps reinforce the knots. So then we've got our envelope. Now you can take your clips off. We've got our envelope in and our last signature. So now just got to put the last signature in. So same process, so I'll speed this up. There's all of our signatures sewn in. So now it's time to put our signatures into our cover. So double check that the cover's up the right way. Yes. Signatures up the right way. Yes. All right, so what we do is we cover this cardboard with glue, lots of glue. Now you want to hold the material up so that you can see where you're putting your cardboard and try and match it up pretty well with the piece underneath. Right, what I do is just check on this side. That's not too bad. Check on the other side. That's looking pretty good too. I'll make sure that I can close the pages. That's looking great. And then I grab myself a ruler and I just rub on this side to make sure and push it down a bit so it all sticks nicely. And then I go between the signatures and I do the same. I just give it a push. Just to make sure those two boards adhere together really well. And then over this side as well. It's a bit easier when you've got thicker lots of signatures to hold them and push down to get the boards together. So you really want to leave it like this for a good hour or so, or overnight depending on your glue, to make sure it all sticks together really nicely before you go opening it and doing much with it. So leave it up like that and just rest it between something to hold it upright and let that dry. Next we need to stick down the fabric either side of our signatures. So you have a little sort of gutter there on both sides. So I like to put the glue in there first and press the fabric down into it, and then I stick the rest of the fabric down flat. So I'll get a fair bit of glue just going down into that gutter. And then what I like to do is grab a ruler and just press in there and really get the fabric adhering well in there. That way the fabric isn't taut. If it's taut, it's going to pull things around and maybe lift off and stuff. So, and also helps your cover close as well. Just looks neat too. And then once you've done that, you stick the rest of your fabric down. So I'll just run some glue down where the fabric is. And if you find you've still got some bits coming up, you can always use your fine tip glue afterwards to stick them back down a bit better. It depends on what I do with the cover. I'll probably put a pocket in there or something. Then I'll decide whether I want to add some lace or anything to cover that up. Otherwise I quite like it as is. It's a lot neater now, but you've got that stuck down, so we do the other side as well. Shuts all right. I have used thick fabric before and that wasn't a good idea because it had trouble shutting after that, so you learn the hard way sometimes. And then we'll just let them dry, and then it's time to decorate our covers. Now I've got the pieces here that I'd like to decorate my covers with. I'm keeping it quite simple. So firstly we need to ink around the edges of the scrapbook paper. So I've got my black soot ink here. Okay, so now it's time to start sticking bits and pieces on the cover, which is exciting. Can't wait to have it done because then we'll be up to the really fun part and the hard work's done and we get to embellish. So, firstly, I've chosen these papers. I think they'll be beautiful to cover the front and the back. So we might start with the front. I'll just grab my paper. Put that under there. Try and get it on nice and even. Looks pretty good. Just grab my roller. Okay, so now we have got the front and back cover parts on. I love it. That paper just looks so nice. You could just leave it like that. I think it looks quite nice and sophisticated actually. And I love how it says piano up there. So now I have cut a little piece that I'd like to put on the spine just to cover up the book's title there. So I've cut out this piece. That come from the cut apart piece. I had all the labels and borders. Alright, so that's looking pretty good there. So I want to do some basic decorations on the front. I've got this, it's really brittle vintage music paper that's falling to bits. So I'd like to put that on the front. And then I've got this cut out that I love. I have put a tad of my Inca Gold, the lava red around it, and inked it as well because I didn't want the red being too bright. Alright, so that's our cover. And then on the back, I have got this. It says music gives soul to the universe. I really like that, so I thought that could go down the bottom there. And maybe tuck that in. Actually, it could go up a bit like that, I reckon. And then that could sort of be tucked like that. I was almost going to make it a tuck spot, but I don't think I will. I do prefer to leave the covers sort of flat so that if people are sitting with them open on their laps and that, they're not going to get caught and pulled and that sort of thing. So maybe something like that, or else we could have it straight. I sort of like it both ways. I think I'll put it like that. Alright, so that's the back. I do really like that. They can put a little note on there if they want. But I love how it says love notes as well. So now we're just got to decide whether we want our little cherish badge thing on there. Banner, I should call it. Looks alright like that somehow. without with, I might put it on, why not, I say. I like the word cherish for a marriage. Put it just there. There we go. So that is our front cover. That's our spine. That's our back cover. Move my paper out of the way now. And do a quick flip through, why not? So that's the inside. First signature. Love it, and it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful papers, and they just go so well with the tea dyed and the music pages. And these pages will be great. I think I'll try and do a few photo mats for some of their pictures. I think I'll steal some of their pictures off of social media. Don't tell them. I figure if they like them enough to put them up on social media, they won't mind if I pitch them and put them in here. So yeah, and I might leave one at the front for a wedding photo and then do a whole heap of pockets and that. But yeah, this is our blank journal ready to be embellished. So it's been a fun project. Absolutely love this pocket, the envelope that I made there. I think that is stunning. So I'll be doing more of those, I think, with my music rolls that I've got. I don't think they'll do much writing in here. That's why I didn't bother putting too many writing pages in. But there's enough little spots for a few notes here and there. And there's heaps of room for them to be able to store photos, cards and all sorts of things in here. So that is it. I hope you like it and it's given you some inspiration. All the papers, the core products and my chosen products are all on sale for this month. So go check them out and check out the blog. Take care everyone. See you later.